What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Maps Exposed. This is the series where I share all of the lines of sight, jump spots, as well as any other sort of secrets and common spawn locations on every map in Modern Warfare. And in today's episode, we're going to be moving on to Rust. Now with this particular episode, I really want to focus on spots that are designed to counter the really common power positions and camping positions that you'll see. And let's start it off with the big one. This is right up top center on that area up there. If you happen to spawn back in this area, which is the biggest threat if you have somebody up there, it is on this side of the map, they can often just like back off and hide, and they can be really difficult to pick off. A couple things is Semtexes are great here because they'll stick to that like a backboard, which is excellent. Whereas if you throw a frag and it's not cooked properly, it might just like roll through a crack and disappear. Also, Molotovs can be great for that as well because it will shut down that entire area for a short period of time. On top of that, I've got some really nice lines of sight to help you out. Like I said, if you spawn back here, it can be a little bit difficult to break out because they have such an extreme height advantage and they can just expose a small amount of their head if they would like to. So what you can do is actually jump up on this area right here. I find this is an excellent line of sight for challenging those people. You do want a gun that's really good for longer range engagements, but if you have that, then you can easily pick them off through there, and they don't typically see you through this little crack here. You could also jump up a little bit higher if you want to get an even better angle on them, but from here you are fairly exposed to a lot of the map. Additionally, if you find yourself all the way over on this side right here, this is a really common power position that we'll talk about in a little bit, but from here as well, just by backing up as far as possible up to this wall, that also kind of gives you a little bit of a head glitch towards them. Again, they still have the height advantage, but they don't typically expect this. Another thing I tested, but unfortunately it doesn't actually work, is you can't actually spray through this. Even with an LMG and FMJ, bullets just don't penetrate this cover. So next up, I did want to talk a little bit about this piece of cover right here because this is a pretty super head glitchy spot. You can just see barely the tip of their head when they're shooting over this spot right here, and they can really lock things down pretty effectively. So I got a couple counters for you guys. The first one is basically just like the perfect 50-50 counter to that, and that is from back here, just head glitching right over top of this. Just like with them, all they're going to be able to see is the tip of your head, and at this point, it's just who's the better shot as far as winning that gunfight. But a little alternative that doesn't give you quite as much cover, but it's just an alternative, is to hop up right here and then mount yourself like this. And with you being mounted, this pretty much eliminates your recoil here, and you can often pick them off. The other spot I have for you isn't quite as good, and it is fairly obvious. That's just from this area right here, trying to head glitch where this tire is and picking them off through that area like that. Now, getting over by the B domination flag, this is another really common camping position because it is quite powerful. You can use this to head glitch like that. Also, you'll see people sometimes hopping up like this to get a line of sight over there, which is just another little line of sight. And the people can be pretty difficult to take out of this position if you're trying to approach them from that direction. So I've got one little way that you can challenge them really aggressively from this area here. Instead of just peeking them like this, if you come up to this part right here, you'll kind of hop up onto this rock. From the rock, you can actually jump right up on top of this tank, and they don't typically see you jumping up there because now you have the cover of this. From here, now you can jump across and shoot them in the top of the head. You gain the height advantage really quickly, and also you just take them off guard, so by the time they adjust their aim to shoot at you, they're already dead. Now, another great way to take those people off of that piece of cover, if they're just camping there all game, is get to the mid-map area right here, crouch down behind this piece of cover like this, and then when you stand up, there you go. Perfect line of sight on them. They don't see this one coming. Now, on top of that, if you manage to get yourself all the way to the top of Rust here, you can also challenge them from up here, but instead of just exposing yourself like this, you can actually just crouch and get a nice little peek through that area right there, so they pretty much won't be able to see you. And again, you've got such a serious advantage here that they don't stand a chance on that piece of cover. Another great way to challenge those people from the middle of the map is to come up onto this area right here, get to the second level, I would call this the second floor, and then you want to position yourself right about here. Look at that. Great line of sight on them. Again, you'll pick them off really easily. You just have to be aware that your side is going to be exposed, so anybody coming up the pipe from that direction will have a nice clean line of sight on you. Now, if you're on this side of the map over here and you want to get to the top center structure there, instead of using the pipes to go all the way around, which is the obvious method, it also takes a while and it exposes yourself to a lot of the enemies. A much faster and better method is to hop up on this right here, hop up like this, and then it's a super easy jump across to the pipe. Now, getting over to this position here by the B domination flag, you'll often get enemies that basically just set up here and they're just watching this entire side of the map, as well as they'll watch over towards that direction there. And they'll basically just hang out here for as long as possible. Great way to challenge them and take them out without them really having much of a chance against you is if you come towards the middle of the map here, jump across like this, and there you go. You got a great line of sight on them. And this is just an area that they don't normally expect to be shot from. Another great way to shut those people down is if you come up one more level over here, you can actually just look right down on top of them like this. This is another area where they're just not going to be looking. Another thing mid-map that I just wanted to point out is instead of forcing yourself to come through this direction here, there is like a hardpoint location, and instead of coming up like that, which is what they expect, and then crouching your way around to get around to this side, what you can do instead is you can actually just jump on top of that, but not directly from here. You can't quite make that jump. I've tried several times at least. I can't ever make that jump. So it seems like you can't get up there from this direction, but you can. If you just hop yourself up like this and then jump up, there you go. That gets you up top here, and then you can challenge people that are just laying on the hard point. It's a little bit of a risky move, but in the right situation, it's nice to know that you're able to do that. Another thing you can do from on top of this area here, if the enemies are over by the B domination flag and they're using that piece of cover there behind those barrels, well, instead of standing out in the open like this and exposing your whole body, all you have to do is strafe your way up this ramp like that, and there you go. Nice little line of sight on them that they don't normally expect. Now, getting back to this piece of cover right here, this isn't the greatest way to be challenging people that are on that piece of cover I showed you earlier. So just a nice little alternative to challenge them instead of using this tiny piece of cover that you have here that doesn't really cover much of your body. Is if you come up to this, just hit the jump button once, and there you go. You just pop up onto this little ledge, and then from here you can mount just to get yourself down lower, and perfect line of sight on those people. This is a much better gunfight for you to take rather than trying to fight them from down here. Now, one last little route that I wanted to show for you guys is if you're coming up towards the top middle area right here, if you want to get all the way to the top, you can't get through this way here to the ladder to climb yourself up, and you can't directly climb up this way either. So it seems like your only option is to come around this way like this, and then use the ramp and everything to get up that way, which, I mean, that does work. It is one option, but I just wanted to give you a different option. And this is, if you find yourself up in this area here, there's actually a little ledge you can use to come around like this, and that'll get you to this side as well. Just a little alternative for you. In either case, you are going to be exposing yourself to that side of the map quite a bit, but I just wanted to point out that that option is available to you if you didn't quite realize it. And with that, that pretty much covers all of the lines of sight and jump spots that I wanted to share with you guys on this map. I did find several other spots that I decided not to include in the video just because I consider them to be kind of cheap and way too campy, and I just don't want to be spreading those types of spots. I'm not going to be using them myself, and I'd also rather not spread that within the community. So I hope you guys can appreciate that. Now let's move on to the spawn locations, which, I mean, isn't really going to take much explanation for you guys. Here are the spawn points I found on Rust. This probably isn't even all of them. There's not too much to say here aside from the fact that you can spawn pretty much anywhere on this map at any given time. And the spawn logic itself, at least currently, is just completely screwed. So I don't really have much to say aside from that. Good luck. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Maps Exposed on Rust. As for my thoughts on this map, I hate it. I just don't like it. I never really was a huge fan of Rust anyways, aside from like 1v1 or 2v2s. And I'm sure it plays just fine for Gunfight, even though I haven't played Gunfight on it. But for 6v6, I just don't like the way it plays, especially in this game. I feel like there's just way too many textures and way too many holes that you can shoot through in the middle section of the map. And it's just kind of overwhelming the number of areas you have to be constantly checking and the number of little cracks that enemies can potentially have lines of sight on towards you. And that's why I just don't like this map. And at this point, I just refuse to play it for 6v6. Of course, though, that's just my opinion. I'd like to know what you guys think about the map in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.